In the headlines, DSS intercepts syndicates selling new currency notes, bank officials implicated. Court dismisses former presidential candidate suit seeking Buhari's sack from office. 115 Lassa fever cases confirmed as death toll rises to 13 in Edo State. Away from Nigeria, Cyclone Chenetso kills dozens, displaces over 37,000 others in Madagascar. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Ayuba Ila. Thanks for joining. And now the details. The Department of State Services says it has intercepted some members of the organized syndicates involved in the sale of the new redesigned Naira note. Public Relations Officer of the Department of State Services, National Headquarters Abuja, Peter Afunayan, in a press release said that the discovery was made in the course of its operations, adding that it was established that some commercial bank officials are aiding the economic crime. Consequently, the service warns the currency racketeers to desist from this ignoble act. The statement urged appropriate regulatory authorities to set up monitoring and supervisory activities to expeditiously address the emerging trend. Now, with the extension of the deadline for the retrieval of old Naira notes by banks by the Central Bank of Nigeria, the National Orientation Agency is partnering the National Union of Road Transport Workers to sensitize more Nigerians on the policy. The campaign is aimed at encouraging more Nigerians to use the 10 extra days to deposit their old Naira notes with commercial banks and prepare better for the switch. Noel Samson witnessed the exercise and now reports.
The Director General of the National Orientation Agency, NOA, Garba Abari, who stressed the importance of the sensitization program for the redesigned Naira notes, said the collaboration with the Transporters Union, which has about 2 million members nationwide, will ensure that more Nigerians are informed about the policy to enable them follow the CBN guidelines.
Well, it's just a continuation of what we have been doing since the start of the sensitization and awareness creation campaign on the redesigned 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes. The National Union of Road Transport Workers is one of the partners of the NOA. Like the NOA, they are all everywhere in the country. Like the NOA, they speak every language in the country. And we feel that we can cascade this information from the top to the bottom, because they are not only the local governments, they are also the communities, just like we are. So this is actually the purpose. Stressing the partnership, and of course, to also give them content, such as the one we also put them in this program for the purpose of dissemination to the lower levels.
NURTW reassured the NOA of its readiness to help spread the message to all its members across the nation to ensure that they are properly carried along.
There's many ways we can support them. Like the one we are holding today, we have a big visitor today. There is a orientation agency today. Then in the formula way that maybe we send their message, go down to the wards in every state. You know, we have a meeting tomorrow. That's the National Executive Council meeting. We are going to send the message of today to our members to all the states.
The union also appealed to the federal government to make the redesigned Naira notes available and easily accessible to everyone in order to reduce the stress associated with accessing the new notes. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
A federal high court in Abuja on Monday dismissed a suit filed by a former presidential candidate of Hope Democratic Party, Ambrose Owuru, against the election of President Muhammadu Buhari in the 2019 presidential election. In the suit, the HDP presidential candidate in 2019 election had prayed the court to declare the presidential seat vacant and swear him in as the authentic winner of the 2019 presidential election. Owuru claimed that INEC acted against the constitution in the illegal and unlawful way and manner the presidential poll was shifted, adding that the declaration of Buhari as winner of the unlawful act should be declared null and void and of no effect. He therefore prayed the court to remove Buhari and declare him the authentic president, and that Buhari should be compelled to refund all monies he collected and as salaries, emoluments, and security votes. Justice Inyang Eko, in his ruling, held that the suit was an abuse of court process, was statute barred, and was an affront on the supremacy of the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has affirmed Senator Muhammad Adamu Aleru as the candidate of the People's Democratic Party for Kebbi Central Senatorial District. A 5-member panel of justices led by Justice China Sentus Nweze on Monday upturned the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which earlier set aside the appeal by Aleru challenging a federal high court ruling on the primary of the party. In the majority judgment by Justice Amina Augi, the panel held that Aleru's appeal challenging the declaration of Saidu Haruna as the PDP candidate for the senatorial district had merit. Similarly, the Apex Court validated the election of Abubakar Yahaya Abdullahi as the PDP candidate for Kebbi North Senatorial District for the February 25 senatorial election. The All Progressives Congress Kano Central Senatorial candidate Abdul Salam Abdul Karim Zora on Monday appeared before a federal high court in Kano over an alleged $1.3 million fraud charge against him. Zora was accused of defrauding a Kuwaiti national of $1.3 million and was billed for arraignment after the Court of Appeal quashed the earlier discharge and acquittal judgment of the court and ordered his retrial. Despite the appearance of the APC candidate in court on Monday, the arraignment could not go ahead as scheduled following the absence of his counsel, Ibrahim Waru, although counsel for the EFCC, Aisha Habib, pleaded with the court to proceed with arraignment, citing the provisions of Section 33 sub A of the Constitution. Justice Yunusa, however, adjourned the matter to February 6 to allow the defendant enough time and facilities to defend himself as enshrined in Section 36A, Section 36, subsection 2A and B of the Constitution. Former Deputy President of the Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, will on Tuesday appear again in court in the United Kingdom, where he has been accused of human trafficking. The lawmaker was in June 2022 arrested at Heathrow Airport in London after Staines police station received a report from a young man claiming to have been trafficked into the UK. The young man, who made the report shortly after arriving in the UK from Nigeria, also alleged that he was made to undergo some medical tests, none of which he consented to. Ekweremadu was immediately arraigned before a magistrate court for bringing a child into the UK to harvest his organs. Now, while the lawmaker had been in custody since June 23rd, his wife, Beatrice, who was arrested with him, was granted bail by a criminal court in London shortly after their arrest. The case against the lawmaker, which had been slated for May, was later scheduled for January 31. The 60-year-old, who denied the allegations against him, will again appear before High Court Judge Justice Johnson. Professor Christopher Imumolen, the Accord Party's presidential candidate, has promised to transform education and the economy if elected. At a campaign event in Lagos, Imumolen emphasized education as a top priority, adding that the party aims to re-engineer the economy and drive industrial progress. The Accord presidential candidate stated that he believes that underdevelopment can be addressed through leadership change. He also pledged to include women and youth in the party's welfare initiatives, as well as ensure that they are effectively carried along.
The only way to change the concept of the underdevelopment of our country today is to change the leadership. I mean political leadership. Nigerians must begin to think of new leaders who have demonstrated passion and value in their personal endeavor.
PC gives you money, collect it, vote for Accord. If PDP give you money, collect it, vote for Accord, because they suffer you so much, they lie so much. This time is not about lie. This is the game-changing time.
The Nasarawa State Police Command says it arrested 28 suspects for alleged armed robbery, kidnapping, cattle rustling and other crimes in the month of January 2023. State Commissioner of Police Mayaki Muhammad Baba made this known while parading the suspects before journalists in Lafia. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in the report as presented from our studio.
Parading the suspect before journalists, the Nasarawa State Commissioner of Police, Mayaki Muhammad Baba, said they were arrested in different parts of the state for various offenses.
During the period under review, number of suspect number of suspected kidnappers arrested are 7. Number of armed robbery suspects arrested 16. Number of suspected vehicles snatched 2. Number of suspected cattle thieves 3. Number of vehicles recovered 4. Number of recovered arms 3. You have also number of cows, live cows recovered from the thieves 2. Total number of suspects so far arrested during this period were 28.
The CP explained that among the suspects is a 12-man gang that specialized in breaking into shops and robbing passengers around Kefi Abuja Road, adding that many have confessed to have victims of the gang.
Police operative attached to Goshin Division, while on routine patrol, intercepted a group of suspected criminals at Auta Balefi, where they are trying to tow their broken down operative vehicle. Preliminary investigation revealed that the criminal gangs of 12 members carried out the operation using a Volkswagen Sharon and a Toyota Sienna, and which they used to go about breaking into people's houses and shops, attack drivers of broken down vehicles, haulage goods, and order to cut them away, items they are conveying.
The State Police Commissioner further said a police constable who is expected to expose crime in the area was also involved following his involvement in cattle rustling. Some of the suspects admitted to committing the offenses they were arrested for. The commissioner said the suspect will be charged to court upon completion of the investigation. Musa Luka, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching the news update on Trust Television. Coming up shortly. President commissions Dala Inland Dry Port Project. Details of this and more after the break.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to DSSPR at dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Media Trust Group, in collaboration with the Center for Democracy and Development, presents the 2023 Kano gubernatorial debate, featuring candidates of 4 major political parties: Nasir Yusuf Gawuna of the APC, Bashir Ishaq Bashir of the Labour Party, Abba Kabir Yusuf of the NMPP, and Muhammad Abacha of the PDP. Date: Saturday, 4th February 2023. Time: 10 a.m. Venue:
Bayero University Kano New Site.
The event is strictly by invitation and no political supporters are expected at the venue.
I will be there.
I will be there. I will be there.
Media partners: Express Radio 90.3 FM, Nasara Radio 98.5 FM, Freedom Radio, and ARTV Kano.
The debate will be broadcast live on Trust TV and other channels across the country.
Welcome back from that break. You're watching the news update on Trust Television. Here's a look at the top stories again. DSS intercepts syndicate selling new currency notes. Bank officials implicated. Court dismisses former presidential candidate suit seeking Buhari's sack from office. Moving on, the deaths recorded from Lassa fever in Edo State has risen to 13 as confirmed cases climbed to 115 since the outbreak of the disease in the state. The State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akoria Obehi, who disclosed this to journalists in Benin over the weekend, said that the fatality figures from Lassa fever have risen to 13 while confirmed cases are 113. According to him, the government is stepping up efforts to contain the disease across communities in the local governments in the state, while noting that the state is adequately prepared and equipped to handle reported cases of Lassa fever. Professor Akoria charged the people who experience symptoms such as severe headache, vomiting, and high fever, among others, to rush to the nearest healthcare center for treatment. Nigeria's government, under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, again restates commitment to vacate office May 29 at the expiration of its second term in office. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said this at the 20th scorecard series of the administration, which featured the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Mohammed Bello, also reassured Nigerians of the government's determination to conduct this year's election despite misgivings in some quarters. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
While throwing its weight behind the decision by the United States to slam visa bans on some individuals found to have undermined the 2019 elections in Nigeria, the Buhari government says it has no cause to worry as it remains resolute to ensure a smooth and realistic democratic transition.
Let me be clear. Whatever action is taken against anyone who undermines this democracy that has been watered by the blood of many of our patriots is right and justified. For us as a government, we are proud to say that no administration since Nigeria's return to democratic rule in 1999 has shown more fidelity to the democratic process than ours.
Presenting his scorecard, FCT Minister Mohammed Bello highlights some key infrastructural development undertaken by the administration. He also clears the air regarding its nonchalant posture towards land allocation when compared to previous governments.
There's no land in an area where you can develop, and many of us have personal experiences where previous administration allocated land in areas where 20 years down the line, you don't even know where the land is, there is no access. So we realized that a secondary market was just created. Allocations will be made, people will have pieces of paper, and a secondary market is created, and at the end of the day, nobody gets to build anything. The whole idea of land is for it to build, and that's why we prefer to develop infrastructure, and then provide access to areas and to build land.
Responding to inquiries on the state of security of the Federal Capital Territory, the minister dismissed the travel advisories issued by some foreign embassies, just as he acknowledged some challenges which he says are being addressed. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
President Muhammadu Buhari has commissioned the Dala Inland Dry Port and several other projects as part of his one-day working visit to Kano State. While commissioning the Cancer Center in Giginyu, President Buhari commended Governor Ganduje's foresight, which he says will not only stop medical tourism but also boost the nation's healthcare sector. Meanwhile, the president has also commissioned the just concluded Muhammadu Buhari Interchange Bridge at Hotoro and the ultra-modern Dangote Skill Acquisition Center, among other developmental projects. Nigeria's Eurobonds fell on Monday after Moody's, the international rating agency, downgraded the country's long-term foreign currency and local currency issuer ratings on low revenue and high debt profiles. The fall in the price of the bonds has raised their yields, signaling investors' demand for higher yields on the bonds, given the country's perceived higher riskness after the downgrade. Now, Moody's on Friday announced a downgrade of Nigeria's long-term foreign currency and local currency issuer ratings, as well as its foreign currency senior unsecured debt ratings, as well as its foreign currency senior unsecured debt ratings to CAA1 from B3, blaming it on the country's low revenue and high debt profiles. Moody's also lowered Nigeria's local currency and foreign currency country ceilings to B2 and CAA1 from B1 and B3. All the country's 13 Eurobonds fell on the first trading day after the downgrade, with the bond due in 2032 falling the highest with a $3.625 fall to a yield of 12.08%. Time now for us to take a short break. The news continues after the break. Join us again.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back from that break. You're watching the news update on Trust Television. Now, stories from away from Nigeria. More than 24 Madagascans have died and tens of thousands have been left homeless since a severe tropical cyclone made landfall last week and swirled for days off the island's western coast. Cyclone Chenezo smashed into northeastern Madagascar 10 days ago, bringing strong winds and triggering downpours that have caused extensive flooding. Over the week, it tracked southeastwards, extending damage to houses and schools and cutting off several national roads. Now, according to an update from Madagascar's Office for Risk and Disaster Management on Sunday, 25 people are now known to have died and 21 others are still missing. At least 83,181 people have been affected, with nearly 38,000 displaced. from their homes. And in sports news, Everton have named Sean Dyche as their new manager. The Englishman is expected to lead the club for a 2.5 years contract period ending in June 2025. The Toffees sacked Frank Lampard last week with the club at number 19 in the Premier League and 2 points from safety. Dyche had been out of work since he was dismissed by Burnley last April after almost 10 years at the Clarets. Now, he is Everton majority owner. And Farhad Moshiri's 7th managerial appointment since buying the club in February 2016. His immediate task will be to guide Everton out of the relegation zone to safety with 18 games remaining. And that's it for the news update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ila. Thanks for watching. Bye.